Hey everybody, thanks for joining today's Google Academy Search Excellence live stream. I'm your host, Jeff Kirschenman. I'll be working along with Sergio Calix, your search product lead. I think I speak for both of us when I tell you that we appreciate you and the roles that you're in. All of you have reached the positions that you are, not by luck, but by hard work and energy. And you being here today learning is another example of your dedication to your craft, and we appreciate it. With that, we've got a lot of great content for you today, but before we jumped into that, we wanted to acknowledge the fact that we realize that for many of you, today's business is just not business as usual. As we all continue to adapt to the world of COVID-19, it is creating separate challenges, not just for you, but for businesses and also for your customers. And we get that. While the challenges of each business can be a little bit different, there's no doubt that everybody or every business is being impacted some way or another. And we want you to know that we are there for you. And to learn even more about how Google is there to support you or to help, go ahead and visit the blog for Google at blog.google. That's blog.google. Many of you have actually reached out to us to let us know that this type of training in particular comes at a crucial time, a time where you are striving to be even more relevant and helpful to your customers. So with this in mind, we will continue to work hard to provide you with the right content and insights that you need to help you and your businesses moving forward. Now, today's session in particular, yes, we will discuss search excellence. However, to start, we wanted to share a few guiding principles that we've been using internally to help us kind of navigate our media campaigns in this altered marketplace that we thought would be valuable to share, considering that you're probably trying to do the same thing in these somewhat uncharted territories. There are really 5 key principles, along with 5 questions that we ask ourselves before we launch our media campaigns to make sure that it is kind of on point and the right message for what we're trying to communicate today. Those pillars are, number 1, context always. Ask yourself, is the campaign right given the current context in a local market? The pillar number 2, constantly reassess. Though you greenlit this campaign last month, last week, or even yesterday, is it still right for the context and the moment? Pillar number 3, creative considerations. Are all of the creative elements, the tone, the copy, the visuals, the keywords, and the placements appropriate and relevant in this new reality? Pillar number 4, changing priorities to navigate uncertainty. Ask yourself, what are the most relevant brands, products, or campaigns our media can support right now? And do we need to shift budgets? And finally, pillar number 5, contributions at every opportunity. Ask yourself, what ways can our brand or even our own media channels be helpful to people and businesses in this moment of need? Like I said, it's proved helpful for us internally, and we think it could prove helpful to you as you move forward. Now, in also keeping with the theme of 5 pillars, we're going to use the 5 as in Do the 5 initiative, which is featured on Google homepages across the globe in partnership with the World Health Organization. And these are 5 things that we can do as individuals to help stop the spread of the coronavirus. And they are your hands. Wash them frequently and wash them often. Elbow, if you need to cough or sneeze, that's your target. That face of yours, don't touch it. Your feet, keep them 6 feet or 2 meters away from other individuals. And finally, feel. If you're not feeling 100%, it's a good day to stay home. So with that, let's talk about what it is you want to get out of today's session. Well, let's think about what are some of your marketing objectives. What is it you're trying to accomplish right now? Are you trying to build brand loyalty, awareness, trust? Are you trying to drive more traffic, or are you trying to improve the quality of that traffic? Now let's think about search and the opportunity that search provides, and the challenges that you can face with trying to navigate such a complex ecosystem and making sure that you prioritize and execute accordingly. It can be challenging. Well, the good news is that search excellence is here to help with those goals. The journey for the day starts off pretty simple. We're going to talk about why search now and why it plays such a critical role. Then we're going to move into more of the heart of today's content, which is a deep dive into search excellence and its main pillars, such as measurements, automation, targeting, and creatives. Then it'll lead us to our last topic, where you will learn how optimization score is the gateway to achieve search excellence. Some things to consider as you go through the course of today, that if you have any questions, Go ahead and type those down at the bottom of the page because we have some live Google product experts who will be sure to respond as quickly as possible. Now, another thing you might have received a couple days ago was a link for a workbook to go along with this session. I would encourage you to use that as a guide to capture your thoughts, ideas, or any inspiration that comes to you during the course of the day. They say that the pen is mightier than the greatest memory. The other thing that manual really that it's of great value is it'll have some images of some of the more important slides throughout the course of the day. So you don't have to worry about getting screenshots or pausing the video or getting your phone out to interrupt some of your learning session. Lastly, at the end of today, there will be an opportunity for you to win one of 3 Google Hub Nests. That's right, 3 of those will be given away randomly. Now, all we ask for you to do to be eligible is to take a few moments and give us a survey or offer us some feedback. It's a great opportunity for you as an individual, as a participant, to express yourself, let us know what you liked about the content, and also give us some insight about what we can do to make these sessions even more effective and valuable to you going forward. So, with that, let's jump into module number 1 and why search now? Well, the fact is that the way people are searching is continuing to evolve. Consumers are in a more constant state of learning and consumption than ever before. And the fact is that advertisers also need to evolve to address these changes. Some of the changes we've seen is that 60% of shopper inquiries on Google search are now upper funnel searches, in which they're looking for inspiration or ideas and options, and then they're working their way down into more of a specific product, which means that there's an opportunity for you to be an influencer. Some other changes that we're noticing is that there's been a plus 200% increase in the utilization of words such as where to buy or near me. We've also seen a 125% uptick in the utilization of words such as best or right now. I bet you fall into those categories as well. A third element that is a bit of a game changer is the utilization of voice. This is due to a couple different things. Number one, the increased usage of assistants in people's households. Another thing is that 27% of people polled use a voice-activated search on their mobile phone. So what that means is they're using longer sentences and more casually spoken search queries. So how do we adjust to that? Well, the way people are searching is changing, and because of that, our algorithms have to change quickly as well. We needed to get better at kind of having a system to consistently understand all of those various searches and make sure that people were getting the right answers. And this is where BERT comes in. BERT is our newest language processing model that's built on neural networks or artificial intelligence. Let's take a look at this search query right here. 2019 Brazil traveler to USA need a visa. So this is really about a Brazilian individual searching and coming to the United States. It's not the other way around. However, with the old algorithm, we wouldn't have really understood this search, and we would have returned results about a US citizen traveling to Brazil. With BERT, the word to is really, in its relationship to what it does to the search, is the key to unlocking this puzzle and really what is the meaning of the search. And this is really how artificial intelligence is overhauling search to provide even better quality and results to become even more helpful to users. So, search is evolving rapidly, and so should you. Search has changed significantly in the past 10 years, and you really can't continue to optimize your search campaigns the same way that you did years ago. So it doesn't matter really what industry you're in. This new paradigm shift in marketing, one where marketing meets with artificial intelligence to develop the greatest impact, is affecting all of us. And we know that the struggle is real. To show up and manage your marketing goals and all of your efforts has become increasingly challenging, and we totally get that. Well, the great news is that Google is here to help you out by introducing Search Excellence. Think of it as a simpler, more personalized way to help you achieve your marketing goals. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sergio Calix, who's going to take us into Module 2 with what is Search Excellence.
Thanks, Jeff. And that is a great question. What is search excellence? As performance marketers, many of you have probably been asking the same question. And maybe not phrased in the same way, maybe more along the lines of, are my campaigns set up for success? Am I leveraging all the best practices that are available? And is there a new opportunity out there to reach more customers or to become more efficient with my marketing investment? We'll be covering all these questions and how to address them in this next Search Excellence module. My name is Sergio Calic, and I'm a global product lead focused on search performance. Over the past 7 years, I've had the great opportunity to work with many companies and customers across Latin America and North America to help them how to best leverage their Google solutions to reach their marketing goals. I've also worked with many of you, and hearing your feedback, I understand how we can continue to make our products better in terms of driving performance and also making them more easy to use. Now, for the purposes of today, let's define what is search excellence and what aspect of search excellence we'll be covering. The way we define search excellence is that foundational or groundwork that goes into your marketing search campaigns to ensure that you are defending and capturing your search opportunity. What that means is going to vary by each customer, because there is no one-size-fits-all solution. The path towards search excellence for someone that is driving online sales versus someone that's driving leads is going to be different. Therefore, we need a tool that is going to be very specific and personalized for each customer based on those specific marketing goals. And this is where Optimization Score comes into play. If you haven't had a chance to use it, Optimization Score is a tool that lives in the Google Ads front end. And if you can go into Recommendations tab, you'll be able to see recommendations to what are the things you can do to improve and based on your marketing goals, and they're going to be very personalized and real-time recommendations. What's great about the Optimization Score is it is all-encompassing of your search marketing strategy. It's going to give you recommendations about what are some of the creative's best practices and how can you ensure that your message is reaching the right audience. It's also going to help you identify new customers and segments that maybe you're not currently going after. It will also ensure and put a big emphasis that in ensuring that you are tracking and measuring the right actions that matter most to you. And lastly, it will bring all of these pillars together by leveraging the latest of Google automation to ensure that all of these are working towards driving your specific goal. Now, if you've been working with Google Ads for a while, maybe you have seen the recommendation tabs before. And that is because we've been addressing this same question for many years now, but this is our latest iteration. When Google first started, it was just ideas, where we'll look at things we're working in the market and we'll give you recommendations. Then we moved more towards opportunities. Those were more based on looking at your account and seeing what were the things that we thought could improve the performance. But the feedback there was that sometimes it could be on just a very few products, not very much focus on outcomes, and it just seemed a bit more Google-centric. The product team took this to heart and has been working the past couple years on developing an entirely new solution for the Recommendations tab, which brings us to today. Today, Recommendations tab covers 60 plus types of recommendations, and that's growing. It is also intended to be your one-stop shop for all optimization needs across your Google investment. Right now on search, shopping, and display, and towards the end of this year, you also start seeing it on video and app. And all this has come together with a brand new user interface that is simple and easy to use. Now, this does bring a lot of great opportunity, but also the intention here is to make it simpler to use. And this is where the actual optimization score comes into play. The optimization score is a score that you're going to get for your account and for your campaigns that is going to tell you how well your account is set up to perform. It's a number between 0 and 100, and it's going to be very dynamic based on real-time data on what is currently happening in your account. So let's say, for example, that you start off a campaign and you set up, and then you automatically get graded on what is your score. From here, you're going to be able to see like what are the different things you can do to ensure that your campaigns are set up for success. Immediately after you apply these recommendations, you're going to see your score being impacted, and you're going to see that move up. As soon as you implement new recommendations, for example, let's say you implemented conversion tracking, this is going to make you eligible for new types of product solutions like smart bidding, data-driven attribution, and also audiences. If the system identifies that by leveraging these tools, you can reach more customers and get more conversions, then that's going to open up opportunity, and that is actually going to open headroom, and your score is going to reflect that by maybe going down. So the OptiScore is dynamic and is going to change based on what is currently happening to your account. Now, the different factors that can affect or impact your optimization score are all the recommendations that are currently launched. So you're going to see across here, we have different sections or different buckets of types of recommendations that could be impacting your account. Now, this can become maybe overwhelming as there are over 50 plus chests on search. So let's talk about how do we rank them and how can it help you prioritize which recommendations should you work on first. And for that, let's take a peek into the backend and see how all these recommendations are surfaced, and then how do we determine what's going to be the impact on your score. What we do first is that we looked at your Google Ads data, and then we look at everything that's happening in your account, your conversion data, how your account is set up, and also the auction dynamics of the queries you're going after. And then what we do is we throw that into a simulation model, and then we try out all the different products and solutions and see which ones would have a positive impact on your performance if they would have been there with the most recent data. We do that for every single product, and then we determine if those recommendations will have a positive impact. If we can determine with enough statistical significance that a product is going to have a positive impact, then we won't show it. And it doesn't mean that these products are not right, it just means that we don't have enough data to prove it. Once a recommendation has been proven to have positive performance, that's when we go into understanding what is the weighting and what is the relative impact between each of the recommendations. So in this example, you have extensions and also target CPA recommendation. What the system is going to determine is which one of these recommendations is going to have a higher impact on your conversions and give appropriate weighting of the existing headroom of the optimization score to that recommendation. So what this does is that it'll tell you what are all the different recommendations that are going to have a positive impact on your account, and it'll help you prioritize by understanding which ones are going to have the most impact, so you can better prioritize what is the next step to do. Now, important thing to note here is that we are basing all our recommendations based on the Google Ads data. While we know that for your business, there's a lot more data or considerations that happen outside of Google Ads that make part of your strategy. And therefore, that's why we included also the option to dismiss a recommendation. So if something is not relevant for your overall strategy, you can dismiss the recommendation and you won't be penalized for it. And we looked at that data in aggregate to better improve our algorithms on an ongoing basis. so that we can be as most helpful as possible. Now, to put it all together, the reason why we're so excited about Optimization Score and helping our customers use it is that first is that it's personalized and it's looking at your specific Google data and understanding what's going to have the best impact based on your marketing objectives. The second thing is that it's real time, so it ensures that you have the most up-to-date information. And the last thing is that it's very much actionable. All the recommendations are easy to read and have a lot of information, and can also be implemented with 1 or 2 clicks, saving a lot of time on the implementation and tactical front so that you can best leverage that time for more strategic initiative for your business. Since the Optimization Score is dynamic, you can now leverage the Google Ads mobile app, where you can get up-to-date information on what are the latest recommendations, and you can even get notifications so you know if there's something new that is happening or impacting your account. But the reason we're most excited for Optimization Score is that we're seeing how it's impacting the performance of our customers. By looking at internal data, we see that customers that leverage Optimization Score consistently, by improving at least 10 percentage points of their score, see an uplift of 10% in their conversions volume. So this is something that we are really excited about, and we've seen how a lot of customers have started to implement and seen performance gains, but also significant time savings. During these dynamic times, for a lot of businesses, Optimization Score has become a very useful tool to be able to understand what's being impacted across their business and what specific actions to take. So if you're experiencing changes in terms of volume or conversion rates or the types of users or messaging that's working with those customers, Optimization Score is going to be able to help you diagnose and understand what are some of the key things you could do at first to ensure that you're adapting to a changing dynamic market. Now, putting it all together, to help achieve search excellence, that meaning having a strong foundation for your search strategy, and to ensure that you are best positioned to achieve your marketing goals, OptiScore is a helpful tool that can help you identify opportunities, and they are specific to your marketing goals, help you prioritize which opportunities should you be focusing on first, and then lastly, is a helpful guide and tool to help you implement these for specific accounts and also at scale. Now, we talked about the tool, but now let's go a little bit more into what are different aspects or strategies of thinking that go into a search excellence strategy. So let's go into the search deep dive. In Module 3, let's take a closer look at search excellence. In this session, we're going to unpack all the different pillars that make up the search excellence strategy. I was mentioned previously, there are over 50 type of recommendations that you can find in the recommendations tab for search. However, we can't review every single one of them today, but we're going to go over some of the key ones to look after, some best practices, and case studies. We're going to go over 5 main pillars of a search excellence strategy. The first one is going to be centered around measurement, as that is the foundation to everything else you do with your strategy, and making sure that we're tracking what's most impactful for your business. The second thing is leveraging automation and ensuring that once you have that data and insights, we can leverage Google's automation to be able to get your results and focus on your return ad spend goal. Then we're going to look at audiences and how you can reach your audiences and how you can better engage with messaging with creative. And putting all that together, once you have a holistic strategy, then you'll be able to better allocate budgets and investments to the campaigns that are working for you and long term. Now let's start with measurement. Measurement has 2 components. and that is conversion tracking and attribution. Both of these are critically important to implement in your Google Search Ad campaigns to ensure that we are having the best data possible that reflects the reality of your business. Let's start off with conversion tracking. Conversion tracking essentially means being able to track all the important actions that your customers take on your website that are meaningful. And we group this into two. There are macro conversions and micro conversions. Macro conversions are those that are closer or most impactful to your business, and that is a sale or a lead or a phone call. Micro conversions are those actions that lead up to a macro conversion that are still relevant, but they are not valuable just yet. For example, at university, in an educational setting would be that a macro conversion is when a student signs up for a semester. But a micro conversion is going to be when a student visits the website, downloads our brochure, or schedules an appointment with a counselor. Now, both of these are really important to track in your Google Ads account. But we recommend that you only optimize towards your macro conversions. And the way to do this is that you only import your macro conversions to your conversions column to ensure that we're mostly focusing on the high impact conversions. Now, there are times when maybe you don't have enough data yet for your macro conversions because you're just starting or just the nature of your business. For example, I once worked with an advertiser and they used to sell these large machineries for a construction company. There was a high margin product and they used to sell between 3 and 10 per month, and that was good business for them. However, 3 to 10 conversion points is not enough, at least for the whole account, to optimize towards. Now, this is probably very foundational for most of you, especially if you've been doing Google Ads for a while. But if you want to gut check whether you have your conversion tracking set up properly in your account, please review the recommendations tab. There you'll find out whether you still need to set up conversion tracking for your account, maybe it's just a new one you're setting up, or you can also see if there are repairs needed. If something breaks, or if you see that the conversion tracking tag are not working anymore, you'll see alerts in the recommendations tab. Now, even if you have been using Google Ads and you've been tracking properly for a while, it is important to check that your tags are updated with the latest tracking protocol. That is site-wide tagging. Site-wide tagging ensures that you're using the latest technology and protocols to measure actions across your website. You can do this by updating your Google Ads tag or leveraging Google Tag Manager, all as well as updating your Google Analytics tag. Either of these options work perfectly fine, but it's important to ensure that you're leveraging site-wide tagging. Now let's go over some best practices. First thing with conversions is that you need to ensure in your settings is that you're going to select whether you want to track one or many conversions. For a lead gen advertiser, you probably want to do one if you only care about one submissions or one lead submissions per customer. But if you're an e-commerce customer, you do want to track multiple conversions and multiple sales from the same customer during the same visit, so you want to track many. It is also important to link your Google Analytics account. This is to give additional visibility and insight into the behavior of customers that are converting versus those that are not. And again, you can use that within the Google Ads front end to further analyze and improve performance. Also, it's important to include all the important actions that we were speaking about earlier in the conversions column. Now, you can have one or multiple actions in the conversions column. For example, let's say that you care about calls and also form submissions. You can also add dynamic or static values to those conversions. Now, for example, let's say that you care about calls and lead forms, but you tend to value more calls as they tend to convert better. You can actually assign a specific value to calls, let's say 2, and 1 to the form submission. That way, our system knows that calls are twice as valuable as lead submissions, but it'll still focus on both. And if you're an e-commerce advertiser, you can actually pass back values for your e-commerce so that every time that we know of a sale, we know what was the value, so we can further optimize towards the value that each conversion is bringing. Now that you're tracking all those important and valuable touch points on your website, then the next thing would be to understand how are they converting. And this is where attribution comes into play. An attribution model will help you understand what is the path to purchase of those customers, and being able to then assign credit or value to that purchase to those key areas or key interactions that are driving the most value and increasing the likelihood of conversion of your customers, to ensure that all your investment is going towards the right actions that increase conversion likelihood. We're looking at attribution models. We recommend doing data-driven attribution. The reason being is because data-driven attribution is going to create a tailored model that is specific to your customer journey. We know that not every business is the same, and customer purchase journeys can vary by different businesses based on how long they take, how many touch points, how many recurrent visitors. So data-driven attribution is going to look at your data and create a model that is specific to your business, and it's going to be optimizing that model over time. Now, because we do want to make sure that that model is as accurate as possible, there are some requirements when it comes to data that we need up front. If you want to know if your account is already set up or has all the best practice and requirements to start leveraging attribution models, you can look at the recommendations tab and you'll quickly find a recommendation if data-driven attribution is now eligible in your account. If data-driven attribution is not yet eligible, then we recommend using any of our other non-last click models, whether that be last click or time decay. One thing to note is that when you're switching attribution models, you are switching the reporting of the data for the conversions. Meaning that you probably see some shifts in numbers in terms of where the conversions are being credited across your account in terms of keywords, campaigns, and also even push it back in time. This shouldn't have an impact on your performance, but if you're leveraging something like a smart bidding solution where it's looking at that data and then acting upon it for your bidding, then we recommend you take a close look at your bidding algorithms to ensure that they're quickly adapting and you can adjust the goals as depending as you're seeing the shifts that happen with attribution model. Generally what we see when you switch to non-last click attribution model is that a lot of your non-branded keywords will start getting a lot more credit. And also that you see that the purchase path becomes a bit longer as we're looking at what are some of the queries that are happening more upper funnel. Now, before we move on to the next section, just a quick reminder that all the recommendations that you see in the recommendations tab are tailored to your specific account setup and scenario. So you might not see all those recommendations surface at the same point all the time within your account. Now, let's move on to the next section and we talk about automation, specifically around bidding. Our bidding solution has evolved significantly over the past couple of years. Just a couple of years ago, there were only 2 to 3 bidding strategies. Now we have over 6. Now, these bidding strategies are going to be specific to each type of customer goal. And because of this, we've seen a high adoption of our bidding algorithms because they're so tailored and specific to each customer goal. Now, let me just give you one example. This is a large pharmacy chain in Brazil. And last year, they had a pretty unique problem where they were trying to address. They had over 400 stores across the country with different products and services, each one servicing different markets with different needs and demand. Now, it was getting very difficult for the marketing team to identify what was the optimal return on ad spend they could have on any given day for each one of the products and services in their different markets. So what they did is they leveraged the maximize conversion value strategy, one of our newer strategies. This strategy focuses on any given day, looking at what is the highest possible return on ad spend you can get for a specific campaign. What this does, it helped them understand that over time, what were the algorithm to adjust to changes in products and services and demands for each one of those markets to extract the most value. And from this, they saw an increase of 42% in transactions, just by being able to dynamically adapt to the changes in the market. Now, let's review at the main strategies that we have for performance advertisers on search. First, we have target CPA. So that would be focused for lead gen customers who are looking to get a lead at a specific cost. Second, we have maximize conversions. This is also for customers that are looking for leads or touch points, or maybe you're in services. You don't have a specific cost per lead, but you just want to maximize whatever is possible during the day. Or maybe you just have a specific budget that you have and you want to make sure you can get the most leads as possible within that day. And then for those customers that are measuring dynamic values, for example, an e-commerce or retailer, you can have a return on ad spend goal where you can have a specific target of, let's say, 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. Or you can have the maximize conversion value strategy where the system will identify what is the highest possible return for changing dynamic within a specific market. So for example, this latter one is really helpful for companies that are looking for high growth, where they want to be able to capture as much demand as possible, staying profitable. Now, as you can see, each one has different requirements to be able to leverage. And the key things to note here is that for the most of the strategies, you don't need any conversion data, but you do need it for the ones that use dynamic values, like target ROAS and maximize conversion value. A great way to figure out which one of these strategies works for you is to look at the recommendations tab. There you will find that our bidding recommendations will be packed with all the data and information that you need to make that decision. First, for example, it will recommend a specific strategy that you can leverage. For example, in this instance, it's recommended a target CPA strategy, in which it will give you a specific logic as to why we're recommending the strategy. It will see and understand that you're tracking conversions. It will also look like what has been your previous cost per conversion, and we're trying to figure out through models and analysis if by leveraging the strategy you could actually get more conversions for that similar cost. And it will tell you specifically how many we predict or estimate that you can get. And we also tell you why. We'll give you just a couple examples of signals that we're finding, a combination of different bidding simulations where we're finding additional value. And it'll also tell you specifically for which campaigns it's eligible for, and it will give you just an easy click to implement. Also important to note is that when you're leveraging a smart bidding solution, is not a set it and forget it strategy. It is important to have a close look at how your strategy is performing. And the best place to do that would be with the bid strategy report. Within the bid strategy report, you'll be able to see in great detail how your strategy is performing. You'll be able to see over time when your strategy was learning, when it was performing, also account for the conversion delay when you still hadn't gotten credit for conversions they already had bid on. And also if there anything that happens, whether you shift your strategy or something breaks or there's a break in the conversion tag, you'll be able to see how the strategy has been adapting. And this will be the best place to ensure that the strategy is getting closer and closer to your specific marketing goal. Now, as the next step, what we found is that once you've are leveraging one of our bidding strategies, one of the questions that we usually get is, what's next? And is there more value that I could be capturing? So we are launching a new recommendation, which is the Just Target CPA recommendation. And what this will do is that in the backend, we'll look at different simulations of your current CPA versus other CPAs that you could be bidding towards. And we'll figure out if there is potential to increase your CPA and you have a better performance and there's some conversions by adjusting it. And this guide will give you a very detailed outlook of what are the different scenarios, and it will alert you when you have one of those opportunities. Once you have smart bidding set up and working, now is a great opportunity to look at your audience strategy. Since smart bidding is looking at real-time data and auction data to understand what is a customer intent, the more data and more auctions that you can go into, then the more opportunities it has to convert. Now, let's look at some audience and targeting best practices. Within Google Ads, you're going to have 3 key levers to use. The first is going to be keywords, then dynamic search ads, and then audiences. Now, let's go with keywords first. Just a quick recap. When you're putting your keywords in Google Ads, you're going to have a couple options in terms of what kind of match types you want to leverage. The broadest match type is going to be broad match type. And this one will go after a larger range of audiences that are looking for your keyword. So it will look into a lot of variations or additions or different ways of from your keyword, but used maybe with different queries. Then the next level down would be broad match modifier or freight. And this one is a good mix between telling the system that you want advertisers, you want audiences that are looking for specific ways of looking at your keywords, but also open to some variation. And then lastly, we have our exact match. And this is when you're telling our system that you want only reach customers that have that specific or a very close variation of the keyword that you have selected. And the trade-off here is that with exact match type, you will have a lot more focus and granularity on those high value keywords that you want to make sure you're reaching. But also, you can also complement that with some of the broad or broad match modifier keywords that will enable you to capture more volume. Now, we've heard from your feedback that keywords is a critical component of your search strategy. But sometimes it can be a bit cumbersome to try to identify what are some keywords that can be used for your accounts and campaigns. And hence, we do have a recommendation for that. The Add Keywords recommendation is going to look at what are some of the keywords that you're not currently using, but we've identified that are relevant to the type of customers you're already reaching, but also give you additional traffic that you're not currently capturing. The keyword recommendations will also be able to look at what are some of the keywords that are most relevant in your industry and recommend those to you as well, and be able to add those, the ones that are relevant, and reject those that are not relevant based on how you have your account structured. Now, the keyword recommendations is one we've seen used pretty regularly, and we have gotten a lot of great feedback of how it's been useful for customers. We also have heard that for some of you, you've seen that those keyword recommendations are not relevant for your business. And this is something that we're continuously working on. And actually just in the past 6 months, there's been 3 updates to the algorithm on how we showcase keywords. And with those updates, we've taken some of that prevalent feedback and improved our algorithms. So now you're going to see a higher threshold for quality, and also we are going to be a lot more contextual to have your account set up and the themes that you have set up in your ad groups, so that it is very much relevant to the strategy you already have set in place. Now let's talk about dynamic search ads. The reason why we've heard the dynamic search ads to be very valuable for our customers is that because with one single campaign and just a couple of minutes of setup, you'll be able to incrementally increase your reach that you're currently having. On average, we see that DSA campaigns can reach up to 75 to 85% new queries that other search campaigns were currently capturing. The way the dynamic search ads work is that they will look at your website, look at the different types of products and services that you have, and it would organize them to be able to show as specific ads. Now, based on how you want to set up, you can target your entire website, you can target specific URLs in your website. Then we'll be able to create ads if we see that there are queries out there that match those products or services on your website, but you don't currently have a keyword for it in the rest of your account. An ad would be dynamically created for that specific query. Now, we have seen various ways of how dynamic search ads can help different businesses. But the best case scenarios we've seen is when you leverage dynamic search ads with smart bidding. As an example, let's look at Pink. Now, PinkCube sells merchandising products for B2B companies as promotional material. Now, PinkCube's challenge was that while they did have campaigns set up for the products that are recurrent and most popular, like mugs and notebooks, they have a wide variety of products that companies could want, but might be too cumbersome to build out campaigns for every single one of those products. So what they did is they leveraged a DSA campaign that could quickly put up the entire catalog on the Google Ads campaign. So the first challenge was being able to put up all the products, and that's where dynamic search ads was there to help. We're able to just with one campaign set up so that if any customer was looking for any type of their products, then they could show. The second challenge though is how can you filter for intent? Since they were specifically looking for B2B companies and they didn't want just any regular customer to be looking at one of their products. They want to capture someone that has going to have at least a bulk order. And then this is where smart bidding came in. Smart bidding will filter through all the different queries to understand which are the queries that are most likely to convert based on the past history from who's converted before in PinkCube's account. This way, they were quickly able to put up the entire catalog and as well leverage smart bidding to filter out and find those high value customers, and were able to increase their conversions by 53%. When I used to be an account manager, I used to always look for opportunities to leverage dynamic search ads. But I did remember that it was a little bit cumbersome to understand if it was valuable. Because first, I would need to understand if my website was indexed properly for Google to read it and to be able to create ads dynamically for it. Then I would need to understand if by leveraging a dynamic search campaign, it would add incremental traffic that I wasn't already capturing with my other campaigns. And then while the titles and URLs were dynamically created, I would have to write the description for all the ads that I wanted to add. Now, that whole process is already built in to the dynamic search ads recommendation. If you go to the recommendations tab, and if you do see this opportunity, all these filters have already been pre-populated for you. So if you see a recommendation, you're going to know that we already identified there is going to be incremental traffic, that your website is properly read by Google's algorithm, and also will take examples from current ads that you have and write those descriptions for you, so just kind of easier for you to get started. And lastly, let's talk about audiences. On any given day, there are 5.6 billion searches on Google. Each one of those searches comes with a very unique intent. But what we know, this is only half of the story, because you also know your customers very well. What we've seen as a best practice in order to provide a personalized experience at scale is to leverage your first-party data with Google's audience and intent signals to be able to identify your most valuable customers and be able to delight them with personalized experience. There are various solutions that you can leverage to ensure that you're providing as much valuable information to your strategy to be able to find those high value leads. You can use customer match and audience signals. In order to understand which audience solution is right for you based on your account setup, you can review the recommendations tab where you're able to see which one of the strategies would be best fit for you, depending on the best practice that we see in your account. What we've heard from many customers is that the importance of leveraging audience data is that it does help inform their Google Ads strategy, but also helps inform their overall marketing strategy. It can provide insights that can be leveraged in other areas like UX studies on your website, or improvements in speed, or also just on your ad copy in terms of how you're trying to reach or tailor specific messages to specific audiences. Now, lastly, let's review some best practices around your audience list. First thing is you want to keep your list as broad as possible. What this means is that it's better to have an all converters list versus a all converters from a specific state of a specific product during a specific time period during the day. While that might create a specific audience, it might be too small for the algorithms to use and understand. The second thing is to add all your lists to all your campaigns. If you're leveraging conversion tracking, attribution, and smart bidding, all of those are working in tandem to identify your audience. So you can leave the guesswork of understanding which list would work where by just ensuring you're capturing it all and the system will be able to use it whenever needed. And lastly is to best keep your audience list on observation mode, meaning that you aren't exclusively targeting that audience. Now, we just reviewed some of the key practices and levers about your audience strategy. Now, let's look a little bit more about there are some strategies to show the right messaging to those audiences. Now, let's talk about creatives. Now, we know that creatives are tremendously important, and customers have high expectations. As we saw, over 80% of customers expect some kind of personalized experience when engaging with a different company or business. In order to ensure that your ads are showing up with the right messaging to the right customer, we recommend leveraging the creative excellence approach. And that is to leverage ad rotation, using at least 3 extension types, and also at least 3 ads per ad group, with one of those ads being a responsive search ad. And the way to think about it is these ads are going to be an extension of your sales force. They're going to be out there in front of customers. So what you want to do is that you don't want to give them a specific script to use all the time. You just want to equip them with all the main talking points of the things they need to know about your business, your offering, and your services. And then depending on the needs of the customer, they can highlight the specific ones that the customer cares about. So when you have this set up in your account, you are basically setting that up in yourself. And we've seen from the results, customers that do leverage this creative excellence strategy see up to 15% more conversions at the same cost. Now let's look at a specific example when this comes into play. Standard Chartered was launching a credit card. However, if you're a consumer in the US, there are a lot of credit cards out there with a lot of different value proposition, and as a consumer, something's kind of hard to differentiate. So this is a challenge for Standard Chartered. But they leveraged responsive search ads, where they were able to add all the different value propositions of their credit cards, but leverage the machine learning algorithm to determine what was the best selling points that would resonate more with each type of customer. And with this, they were able to increase their generic and branded conversions significantly by just leveraging this strategy where the ad copy was as personalized as possible for each user. Now, because this is great results, we do recommend that you leverage responsive search ads across your entire campaign. However, we know that while ad copy can be one of the most rewarding aspects of your job, it can also be taxing in terms of implementing across so many ad groups. Now, a really helpful tool that is already built in to the recommendation of responsive search ads is that it has an ad strength score. What it will look at the ad and it will tell you what is the ad strength of that ad before you publish it. So you can quickly know if there's something you can do or something that is missing to ensure that the ad goes with the best quality possible. Also in the recommendations tab, you can see which accounts don't have specific extensions, or even it will recommend you new extensions based on how your account is set up. One thing that we do get asked often is how do you measure the performance of responsive search ads? And there's 3 key ways to do it. The first is the ad level report, where you're able to see for a specific responsive search ad unit as a whole how it's doing in terms of impressions, clicks, and conversions. The second is the asset reporting, is that you'll be able to know each specific part of a responsive search ad, how it's performing. And there you'll be able to know which are the specific nuggets or different specific highlights or value propositions that are getting the most traction. And lastly, you have the combinations report. And this is very useful because it will let you know what are some of the key combinations that the machine learning is using to be able to drive volume. Now, the important thing to note here is that while it is good if you see that there's a specific combination that is working really well, if there's another combination that doesn't get a lot of traffic, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. Because if it worked for 1 or 2 customers, then that is already a win. Now that we have reviewed all aspects of search excellence, which is measurement, automation, audiences, and creatives, and once we ensure we have a solid foundation in each one of them, then we can go into one of the next key questions that we get, which is how do I ensure that I'm investing properly across my entire search campaign? Now, you guessed it, there's also a recommendation for that. Within the recommendations tab, we are going to look at if there are areas of efficiency in terms of how your budget is being set up and utilized. So if, for example, if we see that because of changes in auctions and demand, one of your campaigns is running out of budget while there's budget that is being unused in another campaign, then we'll showcase that opportunity immediately so you'll be able to take action and kind of know what would be the expected impact of it. Also, if you see that there's a campaign that has an increase in demand, and we expect that there's going to be more demand coming based on our predictions of the auctions, then we'll also recommend an updating of the budget to ensure you're capturing that demand. The recommendations tab is a great tool for understanding some of those day-to-day optimizations of your investments. But what about for budget planning? Let's say that you want to plan out your next 3 months or your next year. Or if you were launching a new campaign, you want to understand what would be the optimal setting. This is where Performance Planner comes into play. Performance Planner is a great tool that can, based on a specific campaign, you can understand what will be the optimal setting of investment based on your specific goal. And the great thing about Performance Planner is that you can get very specific about your marketing budget, your marketing goals, the time frame, and the audiences. And it will give you a very personalized data on where do we see that is a point where you can get the maximum return. We know that planning is critical, especially leveraging the best data possible. And we've seen that advertisers that leverage Performance Planner see actually a 43% increase in conversions after their plan has launched. Now, this is the end of the Search Excellence Deep Dive section. Now, to bring it all together and to a close, let me pass it over to Jeff.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And that leads us to Module 4 and closing the day. Think of this more as a recap. Search excellence is the vehicle to deliver on your marketing objectives. Optimization Score powers your search excellence success by easily identifying, prioritizing, and implementing optimization based on your expected performance impact. You can always check the recommendations page for real-time personalized solutions on what will drive the highest impact for you. There's a couple different ways you can view this page. You can either view it as a card or you can also view it as a table. Either way, once you decide what you want to do, you can pick your priority levers based on your score uplift numbers, and they're as easy to apply as simply one click of the button. And then you can begin your own journey towards search excellence, which means you can start to measure the right actions, use automation to drive growth, expand your reach and uncap your budgets, maximize your search presence so you can continue to unlock growth and increase overall opportunities. Quiz. This is a great opportunity for you to check your retention level to make sure that you paid attention for the whole session and that you have got all your thoughts in order. Great opportunity for you to dazzle yourself and or find out what areas maybe you need to go back and revisit. So with that in mind, grab a pen and paper and get ready to write down your answers. All right. And there's 11 total questions. So let's see how well you do. Question number 1. In the Search Excellence quiz, optimization score is A, real-time responsive, B, personalized and customer-centric, C, actionable and scalable, or D, all of the above. Jot down your answer. If you chose D, all of the above, big winner, you're off to a great start. Moving on to question number 2. When might an action be recommended? A, when your optimization score reaches 100%. B, when optimization potential is detected. C, only when your optimization score falls to 0%. Or D, when you request it. If you chose B, when optimization potential is detected, you're on a winning streak. Good answer. Question number 3. How often should you check your optimization score to ensure account is at its full potential? A, weekly, B, monthly, C, daily, and D, annually. If you chose C, daily, another good answer. Why wait till tomorrow when you can improve today? Moving forward, number 4. How are the recommendation cards ranked? A, by name, B, by highest impact, C, by product, or D, by date? That's right, B is the answer, by the highest impact. Question number 5. Which of the Search Excellence pillars will have the highest impact on your account? A, measurement, B, smart bidding, C, budgets, or D, it depends. It's customized to your account. If you chose D, it depends because it is customized to your specific account. The right answer for the right problem, for the right account at the right time. All right, question number 6. What is the best practice when setting targets for a target CPA, target ROAS bidding strategy? A, use 30-day historical CPA ROAS or what the UI recommends. B, use last week's CPA ROAS. C, set 100% higher, lower than historical CPA ROAS. Or D, set 50% higher, lower than historical CPA ROAS. If you chose A, you chose wisely. Use 30-day historical CPA ROAS or what the UI recommends. Question number 7. Which tool shows you how effective and relevant your response search ads are? A, ad strength, B, ad type, C, extensions page, or D, ad group details? And the answer is A, ad strength. Question number 8. What is the recommended strategy to effectively measure the actions that matter the most? A, set up conversion tracking. B, use data-driven attribution model. C, use GTag or global site tag. Or D, all of the above. And the answer is D, all of the above. Question number 9. What is the recommended DSA strategy to maximize coverage? A, target URLs and page feeds in a separate DSA campaign. B, target page feeds in existing campaign and URL in separate DSA campaign. C, target categories in existing campaign and LPs in a separate DSA campaign. Or D, target page feeds in separate DSA campaign. And the correct answer is C, target categories in existing campaign and LPs in a separate DSA campaign. Question number 10. Which recommendation provides good insights on gaining new customers by adjusting targets? A, raise budgets for upcoming traffic increases. B, adjust CPA targets. C, raise budgets. Or D, move unused budgets. And the answer is B, adjust the CPA targets. Question number 11, our final question. If I dismiss a recommendation, when will it resurface again? After 1 day, if headroom is detected. B, after 90 days, if headroom is detected. C, never. D, after 7 days, if headroom is detected. And the correct answer is B, after 28 days, if headroom is detected. Well, we certainly hope you did really well in the quiz. If so, it's a great indication of your ability to retain great information, and also a little bit of a reflection how good of a job Sergio did in presenting some of that information. We want to say thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions, be sure to reach out to googleacademy@google.com, and where you should be able to submit some of those questions and even get an answer in a short period of time. Again, we also would appreciate your feedback. This is your opportunity to win one of 3 Google Nest Hubs, so be sure to do that. They're pretty awesome to have. All you need to do, again, to participate in that and to be eligible is to give us some feedback. Again, a great opportunity for you to express yourself and for us to get some insight about how we can continue to make these academies even better going forward. With that, I want to say thank you very much on behalf of Sergio, myself, and all of Google. We wish you nothing but the best. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.